Welcome to Tangled Fandom. Well, this week, Tangled Fandom, we went on tour. Join us as we untangle the Indiana Comic-Con and stay tuned for some bonus footage from some other fun things we did this week. So with that being said, let's get started.
All right, so we are going to hop in to talk about our weekend. We spent our weekend at the Indiana Comic-Con.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, and just to give you a little bit of background about the Indiana Comic-Con, it's actually in Indianapolis, Indiana. So we took a little road trip up there for the weekend, and we had a great time.
Agreed. It was a great time.
Yeah, so we're going to just kind of debrief about our experience and share some nuggets with you about things that you should consider if you want to go to this con or if you've never been to a con before. Is this a good intro con?
I think so. I
think so too.
Okay.
So we drove. It was a couple of hours, and it was a good time.
It was.
But one of the things that's like right off the bat that you need to consider is when you get there, you're going to downtown Indianapolis. So you're going to have to pay to park. So when you're figuring out your budget for this particular experience, make sure that you factor that in, because budgeting for parking was around $30 to $45 on average.
And don't count on finding street parking, because that might be far and few in between. So you do want to make sure that you are planning out your parking situation.
So once we got there to downtown Indianapolis, we parked and we were able to get in, and then we got to the registration process. So Tell us a little bit about the registration process, Richie.
So just a pro tip with the registration process, make sure that you have your tickets downloaded before you even get in the venue. Yeah. Sometimes the internet can be spotty in convention centers, so you don't want to be in a situation where you can't even get in because you don't have your tickets. But also the line was kind of long, a little unorganized, truthfully.
But I didn't mind it too much, and really it was pretty efficient once you got into the lines. But just pack your patience and just know that it might take you a little while to get through those lines. But once you're in, you get your wristbands, and then you are good to go to enjoy the rest of the con.
Agreed. So when you leave registration, the next thing you want to be looking at is your schedule.
Yes.
Right?
So download the app.
Download the app.
Yeah, it will have all of the various activities that are going on throughout the day. And it was a really pretty robust and extensive offering list.
For sure.
So there were things for all ages. So there were all types of activities for all ages. So if you want to know, is this a family-friendly con? Absolutely.
The answer is yes.
Absolutely. It's a family-friendly con. So for our family, we have children, and the kids actually were able to get in for free. So we only had to pay for tickets for Reggie and I.
Yeah.
And then all of our kids got to join us as well. So that made it affordable, and that made it fun. So one of the first things that we did when we got there was we dove right into the sessions and the activities and all of that. And then we went to the vendors a little bit later on because we knew that the vendors would be there, but the sessions we highlighted. So again, go in knowing what your priorities are, because you can't do everything.
Things are time sensitive.
Yeah.
For sure.
So we went into the sessions, and the first thing that we did was actually a LARP session.
Yes.
A new type of fandom for me. I have some experience with it. I have I know a couple of people that are into it really heavily, so I can't wait to debrief with them about my experience with that. But it was great, especially for our kids.
I agree. And for our uninformed fans, LARP is live action role play.
Yeah.
After we left MasterChef, we decided to go to the panels.
Yes. So we had to have a little bit of kid fun, but then also mommy and daddy fun. So
for sure.
So if you haven't gathered this about us so far, we are kind of academic nerdy in different ways, but this con had a lot of great offerings for that. So some of the ones that we enjoyed were representation in pop culture, Black excellence in fandom spaces, comics in the classroom.
Yes.
For my Disney fans, I got you. We went to the Ray Bradbury Disney experience.
Yes.
So the fantastical collaboration you didn't know about. Some more on that later. Cosplay in the media. From School Days to Wakanda Forever, the work of Ruth E. Carter, and that one's a good one. So if you haven't watched our video about
Black History, our
first
Black history video, see previous video.
Yeah, so we fanned out about that one. K-pop kids cosplay meetup, so that was fun.
That was interesting.
Black Panther and Afrofuturism. Mario Kart, and lots of other things. So there were lots of things that we got to go to, lots of things that we were interested in. But those are just give you an idea of some of the sessions that we found interesting.
Yes.
But there were so many other things there. Like I went to a Magic the Gathering session too. Had never had any experience with that, so it was eye opening. So again, this con was a great opportunity for people to get exposure to new things that they had never been a part of.
Agreed.
I've talked about LARPing. I talked about Magic the Gathering. There was all kinds of things that I had never experienced before, but I got to kind of dip my toe in that. And that's why I think that this con is a great one. And cons in general are good for fandom curious people.
I agree. You're going to see so much, like from the costumes. You're going to be like, who are these characters? It's okay to go and ask people because they will love. Like, listen, they put in a lot of work for these costumes. They want to show them off. You can take pictures with permission. Obviously, everything's with consent, y'all.
Consent.
Okay.
Consent.
So, but besides the panels, you also have autograph sessions too. So, listen. I'm gonna keep I know I'm prone to just geek out about certain things, but we met Anika Noni Rose. Like we met, we got to take a picture with her, and it was one of the most awesome experiences. And if you have paid attention to the Tangled Jeopardy shorts, we referenced her. So like I'm still like geeked about that.
Yeah.
But we got to meet a few other people. Got to meet Luke Cage himself, Mike Coulter, but y'all. These cons give you an opportunity to really like take some of your fandoms off the page and off the screen and bring them into like the reality. So don't be afraid to go just talk to people, to just say hello, to ask about the arts, ask about the comic books. Like this is an opportunity for you to both have fun but also be educated. So that's really like what I would say about going to cons in general. But Erica, so you want to let's backtrack just a little bit because I do want to make sure that we talk about the panels a little bit. What was what would you say was your favorite panel?
Ooh, I would say that actually my favorite panel was the Magic the Gathering panel. Actually,
really?
Yes, and and I say that because it really exposed me to something new. So a lot of the other panels that I went to, I had already had some sort of knowledge about, or some sort of construct of what it was. So it was just reaffirming things that I already knew, things that I already cared about. But this one like was completely new to me, so I had like no idea about any of it at all. And really with this particular panel, it was interesting because it focused on some of the artists for the cards that are in the artwork that are a part of the game. So we got to hear from the artists and their process about how they design the cards, how they script on the cards. And I think that was just really interesting because it like expanded my mind a little bit, because it was like, oh, there is like a whole, industry, like a work field for people who are doing this art. Like you look at the things that you have and you never really think about, oh, someone designed this. Like this is someone's artwork. It's not just AI generated stuff, or at least it hasn't been up until this point. But this is somebody's actual artwork and someone's artistry. So to be able to hear their process and, the creative freedoms and creative liberties that they have, or the restrictions that they might have, and how they have to be mindful of the space and all these different like criteria to create this art, I think was really cool. And then I also want to say that was also cool because it came off of the back of me watching the newest We Are Imagineering, or This Is Imagineering series on YouTube, where they were talking about, some of the Imagineers' processes for building rides. They did a rides video not too long ago, and then also about like building like the topiaries and stuff at the Flower and Garden. Festival. At Epcot. So just thinking about, oh, these are people's jobs. Like somebody has to make these things. Somebody has to do this stuff. So like peeling the veil back and looking at the artistry and all of the work and intentionality behind the things that we enjoy was really cool to me.
No, I agree with that. I feel like every con that we have been to has had some sort of experience where you're like, oh, I didn't think about that. Or wow, that is interesting.
Yeah.
So it's for me like watching you and your fandom grow. Like I'm just like excited because I'm just like, yes, this is the gateway. This is the gateway into this. This is the gateway to that. So thank you for sharing that. So my favorite panel was actually the Black Excellence one,
Mm.
and really because with the type of panels where you have like minority creators and minority, cosplayers and people who operate in that space, like if people don't show up to those type of those panels, they stop booking them.
Yeah.
So for me, it was an opportunity for me to support, but also hear from other, even individuals or content creators like ourselves
Mm-hmm.
to kind of learn about what their struggles or pain points have been, but also like what does success look like, and we actually left with some connections
Yeah.
that hopefully we'll be able to leverage in future videos.
Yeah.
But y'all, I feel like the main takeaway I took from that is like, don't let the struggle keep you from striving for success. That struggle is where you're going to learn the most about yourself. You're going to learn what you are capable of doing, and that product that you produce after the struggle is going to be way better than if you just walked away. Okay, so do something. Do something. So
And
go ahead.
I think I want to uplift an idea that we kind of mentioned earlier about that. It's just that it's finding your people too.
Yes.
It's finding your community. The fact that we went to this place and walked away with new connections.
Yeah.
That's what these cons allow for. They allow for people to come together who might not have already known each other, but have a common interest, and to get to know each other and to find your people. So if you are looking to find your people or more people that are interested in the things that you're interested in, or you're open to learning new things and developing new interests, and you're, like I said, fandom curious, these cons are a good opportunity and a place to do that. So
agreed. No, and these cons honestly become meetups for people, because there are individuals who are traveling all around the world who are making connections and say, hey, listen, we're going to meet here. We're going to do this. Like there are Facebook groups for, nerd culture. Shout out to Blogwords. But, where they intentionally choose these regional cons as places for them to reconnect. It's like a family reunion.
Yeah.
So, even thinking about going to the vendors, there are a couple of artists who I've seen at different cons who remembered me. So, I actually, Terry, shout out to Terry Huddleston. I've referenced him before in a previous episode for the artwork that I have here in my office. But like when I saw Terry, he's looked at me like, hey, and then I'm listening to him like shout out to the other people who have been on the, convention circuit with him.
Mm-hmm.
And you just see that camaraderie and you feel it, and you see other people who are like you, and you don't feel like you are weird. You don't feel different. You feel seen. And like that's why I love going to cons, because I just feel like I get to be the version of myself that I want to be.
Yeah. And I also enjoy talking to the folks that are working the vendors, because this is a lot of people's like passion project that they like do on the side. This is not necessarily everyone's full-time gig. Like their artistry and their creativity, their creative work is not necessarily their full-time job.
Mm-hmm.
So being able to talk to folks to see like what is their like 9 to 5 and then what is their secret life, is actually really cool. So shout out to that video again that we did, 9 to 5 and Secret Lives. Check that one out too. But yeah, just talking to people about how they are unapologetic about infusing creativity into their life. And their fandoms into their life, and making space for it, and not letting it just, fall into the background because, we have bills to pay and stuff to do, but they're doing something that they love. And yes, they're generating income off of it, which is why it's important to support these small businesses, but also that, again, it's the community building, it's the creative outlet, it's all of those things. So I just love seeing that, and it's good energy in the room.
And that makes you relate back to something that was said in the Black Excellence panel. Mm-hmm. If you're not living your truth, are you really living? If you are not cultivating those different interests that you have, are you really being your full self? So, not just cons, but just anything across the fandom, across the multiverse of fandom, take the time to make sure you know you, and make sure you are experiencing the you that you truly want to experience.
Yeah.
Yeah?
For sure.
So honestly, I think that's where we're getting to the conclusion. Close.
Yeah.
Getting to the conclusion of this particular episode. Are there any last insights you want to leave with our audience?
I would say that if you have never been to a convention before, or like a comic convention or like a fandom sort of convention, I highly recommend that you choose one. And if you're in the Midwest area, the Indiana Comic Convention could be a great first one to dip your toe into, because everyone hears about, the original Comic Con that's in San Diego,
And also New York.
and the New York Comic Con. Those are huge ones. And that could be overwhelming. So if you're looking for something that's a little bit more low key, I think this is a good one to kind of dip your toe into to start.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
And then also don't feel compelled to have to do the whole weekend. Do a day pass.
A day pass is fine.
Yeah,
and
do a
it's
day pass.
cheaper in
Yeah.
some cases. If you just want to dip your toe, dip your toe.
Yeah, dip your toe. And then also don't be afraid to, venture out there by yourself if you don't have someone to go with. I think I saw, quite a few folks who were there, solo, but were able to talk to people and get into conversation and things like that. So if you don't have anyone to share this adventure with so far right now, don't let that deter you from going. You can meet your people and you meet your community in these places.
Thank you for joining us on today's journey. We hope that you found it insightful and hope that you get excited to go to your own cons one day. If you want to learn more about anime or sharing interests with your loved ones, please check out one of the 2 videos that you see on this screen. As always, thank you for supporting our channel. We'll see you next week.